Welcome everyone to Blockchain Week. This day is proudly brought to you by CoinSpot. Today we're speaking of the Web3 women. We're about leading by example. And our panelists, we have Lisa Mayer, she's the founder of Beauties. We have Jaime Schmidt, the co-founder of BFF. And our moderator for today is Sarah May. She's the Chief Marketing Officer for Run It Wild. Over to you, Sarah.
Hello everyone, tuning in at the Marvel Stadium in Melbourne and around the globe. Thanks for choosing to spend the next 25 minutes with us. You have made the right choice. It's going to be a ripper. I'm Sarah, typically in Sydney, but tuning in from sunny LA today. I'm CMO at Web3 Studio Run It Wild, who are behind the AMSverse, which is happening in the other room at the moment, and soon to drop Elvis on chain. I'm your moderator for today. Buckle up. This panel is going to help you feel super inspired and give you an entirely different perspective on NFTs, possibly even the warm and fuzzies. Proving that NFT projects can deliver on a higher purpose, these founders are creating tangible impacts towards financial inclusion for those that identify as female and non-binary, ultimately changing the 19% participation in crypto currently. So just wanted to thank Steve, Greg, and the entire Blockchain Australia team for hosting this panel, all-female panel as well, and feel super inspired and privileged to introduce the next guests who need very little introduction, but I'm going to give them a big one anyway. So for anyone that doesn't know these two powerhouses, joining me today, we have Lisa Mayer, founder of Beauties and CEO of My Social Canvas, mainly focused on empowering women at the forefront of technology, leadership, and creativity, providing mentorship for Gen Z females. To date, Mayer and her team has impacted thousands of high school and college women all over the world, spanning 15 countries and 400 educational institutions. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here and speaking alongside Jaime as well.
Yay. Next, we have Jaime, who's recently launched and is building My BFF with entrepreneur Britt Morin and 50 top tech investors and artists, including Mila Kunis, Tyra Banks, Gwyneth Paltrow, and the amazing Swan Sit, who I saw at South by last week. BFF is a brand aimed at helping women get educated, connected, and financially rewarded in crypto. Jamie's also the co-founder of Color Capital, an investment fund specializing in Web3 and consumer goods, co-founder of CPG Club, Web3, Alpha Community, and Incubator. One more, author of the book Supermaker. Jaime has also grew Schmidt's Naturals from kitchen to acquisition. Wow, what accolades. Like, welcome both. Given your stellar backgrounds, we have a lot to get through. So let's get into it with the first question. I'm going to give this one to you, Lisa, and then back between you two. So before we deep dive into the latest projects, I love a good origin story. So tell us, how did you fall down the NFT rabbit hole, and what specifically sparked your interest in the space?
Well, first of all, Sarah, I love this question. I love hearing how everyone's come down the NFT rabbit hole. So Jaime, I'm excited to hear more of your story. But really, if you had told me a year ago, or let's go with a year and a half, 2 years ago, that I would be fully immersed in NFTs, I never would have believed you. But I think a lot of us have been in that place, right? So for the last decade, I've been building My Social Canvas, which you mentioned earlier, which is a community that we're mentoring Gen Z women in college and high school from all over the world. We have set up mentorship events with incredible women, Olympic athletes, women in fashion, in different industries, women from companies like Apple and Google and all the top tech companies. And so we've hosted these mentorship events and really helped the next generation create the career of their dreams. But with that being said, about a year ago, I discovered NFTs, just like many of us did. And at first, I was really puzzled. I didn't understand the space. It was overwhelming. I wish I had my BFF at that time when I was first discovering NFTs. But I really saw, to answer your question, I saw all of the potential that was in this space for women to get involved in the space. And I saw it as an opportunity to jump into the space as a way to really fund all the work that we're doing and help more women enter the NFT space as well. So with that being said, we wanted to find a way that would be truly authentic to my passion, which is mentoring women, and Boss Beauties was born. And the rest is history. So I'll share a little bit more as we progress in the panel, but that's a little bit of our story.
Thanks, Lisa. Over to you, Jamie. What's your rabbit hole story?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. Spent 7 years building my own brand. Semi-retired back in 2017. But then, since then I've started really investing more across different opportunities, right? So I'm an investor in different brands as a VC, looking at, stocks and bonds opportunities, of course, and then NFTs entered the picture about a year ago. And I thought, oh, this is a great way to diversify. But nothing quite resonated yet. I was certainly a skeptic probably about a year ago. World of Women entered the picture. I thought, this is my thing. I'm gonna figure this out. And I was excited to buy my first NFT. But through that process too, I've been building Club CPG, which really is at the intersection of Web3 and consumer. Being kind of a brand nerd with my background in building Schmidt's Naturals, I saw the opportunity to really build in sort of that intersection that a lot of people hadn't quite recognized the opportunity in yet. So with creating Club CPG, it's a network basically that connects enthusiasts across consumer and the Web3 space. And so looking at ways that brands can sort of take advantage of Web3, NFT opportunities. And so in building that, started buying my own NFTs alongside it, and then recognized the opportunity for BFF. Britt called me up one day and said, hey, we need more women in the space. I said, I agree. And so now I'm back to working full time and I'm no longer retired.
Yay, go you. Thank you so much for that background. It's really good for people that don't know you and the project. So that's super helpful. I've got another one for you before we get into what's happening at the moment. Sure, you've probably had a lot of similar conversations as I from the crypto curious, aka normies, aka no one that is in NFTs, right? Please share your best light bulb moment or best analogy that's convinced people that NFTs are a digital asset people need to take seriously.
Yeah, I guess I'll start. It's just the life-changing stories that we hear. Like every day we log on to Twitter and there's people that have literally like changed their lives from making a smart investment in NFTs, or artists who have tested the waters of creating their own NFT projects. People like Lisa who have had inspiration to start a business in the space. And so it's just, there are so many examples of how it has changed lives, and we are literally just at the beginning. And so I think we'd be foolish not to give it, some of our attention and curiosity. And I don't think everybody needs to, jump in fully 100%, embrace it and, go crazy. But I think, just knowing the opportunities is the first step, and recognizing, the potential to change lives and to diversify, as investors and as consumers.
Yeah, Lisa, what are your thoughts on that one? What's convinced people to get into it?
I agree with Jamie. I'd add to what Jamie said. I love what you shared, Jamie. And I love to share stories of people that have entered the space. If I'm talking to my family or friends that aren't familiar with NFTs or aren't in the space yet, I love to share a story. I feel like people resonate with storytelling, right? If they hear a situation or example, I love to share not just the story of Boss Beauties, of course, but the story of other entrepreneurs or creators in the space, like Nyla, who, by the way, I think is just incredible. I was not at her age an entrepreneur or a creator or artist. She's amazing. But I love to share the stories of incredible people that have entered the space, and to Jamie's point, how they've impacted lives through this, you know, getting into the NFT space and being able to generate more income or generate ways to give back and donate to a nonprofit that they're really passionate about that nonprofit's mission. So I love to share specific examples and stories. And I often tell my family, it depends on the family member or friend. If someone's really involved in the stock market, for instance, I might bring up examples of how people have gotten into NFTs and they've been able to see it as an investment tool, right? To really build as on the investment side. If someone's really passionate about art, maybe they're an art collector, then I'll bring up examples of how NFTs are a form of digital art. Some NFTs, of course, there's music and other forms, but really connecting it to their passion and their interests. So that's one way that I'll often do it, just depending on who I'm connecting with and sharing with.
Yeah, cool. It's like connecting with them on their passion areas and their level in terms of igniting that interest in the space. Yeah, cool. Thanks for sharing. So for those that aren't super close to your projects, they've both got incredibly bold visions on inspiring women into the space in a super intentional way. Leveling the playing field, improving representation and building allyship. Why have you chosen to hyper-target women through this and non-binary? And can you share some of the design decisions that have driven those mission statements?
Yeah. You said the design decisions?
Yeah, sorry, this is some of the design decisions that have then driven what you've come out with in terms of utility and projects and initiatives and partnerships. So firstly, like, why have you hyper-targeted women, and then some of the design decisions around the aesthetic, the partnerships that have, you know, that have led you to where you are today?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think targeting women and non-binary people was just the obvious choice. I mean, that's where we need representation. That's where we need to, empower people to have equal opportunity and take advantage of like this huge financial, reckoning that that's happening in front of us. And I think, it's not just about the financial opportunity, but it's about the opportunity to connect through community. And to learn about this next phase of the internet, which is fascinating, and to not know about it is just, in my opinion, is just you're risking, just losing so much. In terms of design, BFF, we certainly target women of all ages and non-binary people, but we're also very inclusive to others, men who are curious, who just haven't found, community that resonates with them. We don't make fun of bro culture. We're not here to, say girl power, women only, but it's more like, hey, like this is an opportunity. This is a community that you might resonate with, and here's how we're going to make it comfortable for you. If you think about art and the actual, aesthetics of design, it's not easy building, putting aesthetic on a brand. Naming a brand is hard. Choosing colors and choosing just your branding elements in general is a tricky practice, but it's a fun one. And, for us, it was we wanted something that felt, interesting, something that, would resonate with people of all ages, which was a little bit tricky. And then also just one that we felt like hadn't been done yet in the industry. And so we hired one of the best designers that we knew, Jessica Hish, and she nailed it.
Elisa, what influenced your mission statement and the design decisions around like the aesthetic and utility that have come out from your projects as well?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, to add on to what Jaime said, we wanted to target women and non-binary people as well, because we don't want them to get left behind from Web3, right? We want to change what's happened, early on in Web2 and other areas of tech, right? So we don't want them to get left behind, and we want them to know about this. I mean, first of all, have awareness and know about the NFT space. I was just speaking to a dear friend and a mentor of mine that's incredible, has a 30-year career track record as one of the highest, most senior women at really one of the top companies, very big companies. I won't mention who, but I was sharing with her about NFTs, and this is so new to her, right? I mean, this is just one example, but this is a person that's very much up on everything that's happening in tech. I mean, you name it, AI, other forms of tech. she's really up on, but doesn't understand NFTs and Web3 yet. And so that's just something, I meet women every day that haven't gotten involved in the space. So that's one of the reasons that we wanted to start a project and a company that would do that. And on the aesthetics and utility, really, you know, a little bit of what Jaime just said as well, but really, you know, coming in with showing women that they can be everything they want to be, right? So our collection, you'll see there's an astronaut helmet paired with a woman that's an athlete or a chef or a CEO. We have a caregiver in our collection. I'm a new mom. So we have a woman wearing a baby carrier to signify, you know, all caregivers, but she's also a CEO and an entrepreneur too. I mean, so mixing up those traits in the collection, we feel as though women are often put into one box, like, I'm an entrepreneur, right? But I'm also a mom. I have so many other passions, just like I'm sure you do, Jaime and Sarah, right? So with our collection, a woman can be everything that she wants. That's part of what we built into the artwork, the aesthetics, and the theme behind Boss Beauties as well.
Yeah,
Love
Sarah,
it.
Lisa, when
come on,
I
Jamie.
did my Boss Beauty, I was like, the one trait I had to have was the tennis visor. I've played tennis for most of my life, but I've you know, had dreams of being a tennis pro. So now like I'm living it through my NFT. Thank you.
I love that.
Yes.
I love hearing stories about why you chose your Boss Beauty and why it's special to you.
Yeah, it's a great combo.
Love that. Love that. But, you know, I love that like PFPs can be super multi-layered, you know, they're not just like women are, and non-binary and everyone really. So we're gonna keep trucking on because we've got a lot to get through. So you've launched and marketed your NFT projects in quite different ways, like BFFs with the support of celebrities, entrepreneurs, and we know that education and that webinar is really important to break down the friction. Boss Beauties, oh my gosh, like bridging the physical and digital with your like New York Stock Exchange partnership, invited brands in like Barbie and Rolling Stone and Hugo Boss. Like, talk to me about the balance of marketing the aspiration versus marketing the very reality that, you know, Web3 and people get into. So talk to me about that mix in your marketing.
Take it, Lisa.
I'll jump in. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, we've really tried to bridge the gap between the Web3 and NFT space into the physical. To your point, you know, having one of our Boss Beauties, are actually 7 we've had on display at the New York Stock Exchange in physical artwork form, to partnering. I actually right here have some Barbies that I use as inspiration. Here's another Barbie I love, but we just released an NFT in partnership with Barbie that's going 100% of the proceeds went back to fund the Barbie Dream Gap project. And there's a lot of other things we're talking to them about, you know, but really partnering with brands that are in the real world, as we call it. In the Web3 space, I know we call that, right, bridging that gap. So bringing those partnerships out to brands in the real world and in the form of products, maybe physical merchandise that we can launch to give back and make an impact on the world. But also, you know, really figuring out how we can leverage those partnerships to make a difference and create change. So that's something that's been really important to us with all of our partnerships, is that, you know, whether it be a portion of proceeds fund a scholarship to give back, or even in our partnerships and how we involve an inspiring woman, a celebrity or an influencer. You know, we just did a big event for International Women's Day. Some of the women that we mentor attended that event. They are incredible. They're such rock stars, and they attended. We had a video message with some advice from Eva Longoria for one of the women that, one of the college women. She asked a question to Eva, what's your advice? And we got that advice and gave it back to that woman in our community. So just figuring out how can we build partnerships with, whether it be brands or other incredible women, and at the end of the day, how can we use that to impact and create change? That's what I would say.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you for that. Thanks for sharing those lovely anecdotes about Eva. Like, she's my friend. Jaime, what what are your thoughts on in terms of marketing through the aspirational side of celebrity and entrepreneurship, and the very real side of it, getting into investing, collecting, designing for the first time?
Sure. Yeah. BFF is very new. We were about, I guess, not even 2 months old yet. We had our first kickoff event late January. But we have a very ambitious roadmap, and we're excited to start kicking things into gear. We have a really engaged community that's ready. But our thinking around bringing in a lot of these names that you had mentioned, celebrity names, was that all these people have a community of women generally that are curious, that want to resonate with the right cause in Web3, but don't quite know where to plug in. And so we wanted to partner with people that had big reach, that had vast experience, that had communities that trusted them. And in doing that, we've been able to onboard a lot of people. And the cool thing about our, we call them founding BFFs, this team of 50 women who have committed to the cause, is that they're all at different levels in their learning in this space. Some are experts, some are very new, but every single one of them that we talked to said, yes, I believe in this cause, I want to be a part of it, and I'm ready to bring my community into this. And so it was just, validation that what we were doing was needed. And so that's a really cool for us, just to see, that so many people of such influence were willing to support the cause.
Yeah, super inspiring to see your launch rollout. Well, both of yours. So building NFT communities, maintaining the floor price, and creating competitive utility, doing all those mentorship programs, bringing in brands, helming projects, and being a mom on top of all of that, and a partner and a human, isn't easy. So what are your proudest moments during your NFT journey? And can you talk about some of those proud moments, the impact that you've created? We love to hear more of those anecdotes that you started to share earlier.
I'll jump in on this. Yeah, I would, you know what? I don't do this enough, but I have to say, I am really proud. I had a newborn baby. I had a 3-month-old when we launched Boss Beauties. And I will tell you, you brought up being a mom, being an entrepreneur, starting an NFT project that's being built really into a global brand and business. That was challenging, but I was starting Boss Beauties at the very same time, building the community. I mean, Jaime, you mentioned that, building the community is a major part, and doing all of that while still getting up with my son, 3 or 4 times a night. I mean, running on limited sleep. So I would say that's something I'm very proud about, being able to do that. I think all of us as women juggle a lot, balance a lot, right? So I would say that, and, being in this space is so incredible. I'm so grateful that we were able to enter the space early and start Boss Beauties. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned there's a lot in the space to take into account, whether it be utility, floor price. I mean, there's so much, but we always keep in mind that we're building for the long term, and we're proud. We're just proud that we're able to do this, and any challenges along the way, we work through them, and we're excited. We're excited for the future. So that's what I would share.
Kudos.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Being a new mom, and my first company I started when I was pregnant, and so I've been there with the startup phase of newborn, and it's not easy, but it's when we care about different facets of our lives like that, we can pull it off. For me with BFF, I'd say what I'm most proud of is I have to start with my team. I'm totally in love with my team. Everybody that works with BFF is just fully committed to the cause. The majority of them, came to me or Britt and said, I believe in what you're doing. I want to work for you. And that's how they got hired. They're just so passionate and just so, loyal to the community. So, that just feel really great knowing that I have their back and their support. And then just proud that we have so many people interested in what we're building. We started with our launch event in January. We had 20,000 signups. I was expecting maybe a few hundred. And it just goes to show that, what we're building is needed, and that we're doing it in a way that resonates with people. We have our first NFT collection launching next month. So I'm already proud, even though it's not out yet, but it looks really great. And just proud of, the roadmap we've created and all the initiatives that we have ahead of us. Thank you.
Oh, congrats both. Super excited. So last one before we wrap and get all the information in terms of where people can find out more. So where are NFTs headed? If you could just give us a quick one, call this the quick fire round. Where are NFTs headed? Give us a bit of future state. Going
Oh
to
my
you,
goodness.
Lisa.
I mean, that's hard to, I mean, really, there's so much, right? I mean, I can't even do it in 1 minute right now. I mean, let's set up a whole nother panel, right? Jaime and I will jump back on, but there's so much that can be leveraged and done with NFTs, whether it be through the utility, ways to use NFTs to give back and make a difference and fund incredible nonprofits, change the world. I mean, that physical to digital, with products, film. I mean, there's so much that NFTs will be integrated into in our daily lives in the future. I'm really confident of it. So yeah, it's hard to put it into words, right?
I'll be quick. There's an obsession with utility, and it does define BFF, our goals. But I also think at the same time, some of us are gonna get away from this obsession with utility, and we're just gonna appreciate the art for what it is. And I encourage project founders and collectors to understand that that's okay. Not everything has to have major utility. So I'm excited about both ends of it. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Love that. It's a balance of the utility and the art and the beauty and what you see in the project. Love that. Okay, before we go to break, do you just want to share quickly where people can find out more about your projects, where the best place to go is if they're super interested?
Yeah, on Twitter
Jamie, go.
On Twitter and Instagram, the handle is my BFF. And then for me personally, it's just Jaime Schmidt, Jaime.
And for Boss Beauties, it's Boss Beauties NFT on both Twitter and Instagram. Bossbeauties.com is our website. And then for me personally, on Twitter, it's Lisa C. Mayer. And on Instagram, it's Lisa Mayer. I need to make the two the same.
Oh, we can't forget our Discord. Definitely.
We are in the world of stalkers. You're fine. We will find you.
I didn't give enough love to our Discord. And I have to say, the Discord is a beautiful place for BFF. So definitely make sure you check that out. We have mods that are incredibly passionate and super engaged. So BFF Discord.
Yay, go BFF Discord.
And I love the BFF Discord too, and Boss Beauty. I have to say, I'm a huge fan of BFF. I love it. And both of our communities. Yeah. What a great community we both have, right? It's incredible.
Yes, we need to do more together.
Totally.
Thank you both for your time. It was super engaging, enlightening, uplifting conversation. Thanks, you've tuned in the evening, so really appreciate it, both of you. So thanks for your energy and your insight, obviously your intellect and your anecdotes as well. It's been fabulous. All right, bye Melbourne.